Hello and welcome back to Endstep, the Upkeep after show. And last week was the season 2 finale.
It was a fun one.
So well done on a fun season, gentlemen.
Yeah.
It was a good one, and we had a lot of really fun games. So we did Revenge Week again. So everyone got to bring back a deck that they feel like underperformed earlier in the season, came back, gave it a second chance, and this game was insane. This was actually one of the faster games that we've had. I think probably the fastest one of the season. I would have to double check that. But one of the fastest games we've had, period.
Of this season, probably.
But if you have not seen that game, you need to go check it out right now. Because otherwise this video is not going to make any freaking sense. So, I should say this also before we get too into the specifics. I just want to get this out of the way early in the video. The structure is going to be changing for this show. It takes a lot of effort and time to make these episodes. It's very hard to get them out every other week. So we are suspending the season structure, and we're just going to go to doing the show once a month. We will still have other content to fill in the gap, so we're still going to have 3 videos a week. But for this show, we're just going to go to doing it once a month instead of once every other week, just because I also had a commander clash, and that takes a lot of time. That's my full-time job, and then also trying to find time to do this has been very challenging. So, but you know, so that to say that it will be slightly less often. We will still be doing the show though, and because we're doing it less often, we're upping the weirdness of the themes a lot. So I hope you guys are excited for that. But let's go ahead and talk a little bit. Oh, and then also next week we have a video where we're going to be going over the stats for the season. So if that's something you care about, if you want to see the exact details on like what colors did we play the most and who won the most games, how long were our games on average, stuff like that. If that's interesting to you, come back next week for that video. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about this game and our decks. So, let's start with why did you decide that this was the deck you wanted to bring back? Steven starts off.
The main reason for me is because, well, one, I originally brought Shadrick Silverquill in on the $100 budget episode, and so I felt like living up to its full potential. It wasn't quite there with it being, and I do still feel like this deck has even more potential that we haven't even seen yet, or additions that I just haven't made yet. But I did make a lot of changes to the deck. Budget was over $100, and I picked it. I also picked it because I do feel like, I mean, mainly just because I just felt like it could have done better back on budget episode, and I like this deck. I don't play it too often, but it's very, very unique compared to a lot of my other decks, so I just wanted to bring back something cool.
Yeah, it's kind of political, but you're also just smacking people in the face.
It's kind of, yeah, because it's kind of like, it's kind of political, like I'm helping everyone a little bit, but I feel like I come out a little bit further ahead than everyone else. Mm-hmm. That's kind of how it seems.
What about you, Preston?
So I chose Sliver Overlord here because, you know, I brought it on the channel twice now, and both of those times, and even when we've played games with just us off camera, Sliver Overlord has yet, before this game, had yet to do what it wanted to do in any of my games, really. Like, once or twice it kind of started to get there, but it just had a poor showing so far, so I really wanted to let him have one more chance on the channel before the season was over to do his best, and I think he did a pretty good job.
And this was by far the best showing we've seen.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I'm sure we'll see it again at some point. Yeah, I mean.
And then, Tommy, for anyone who has seen the Lost Caverns of Ixalan episode, they know why you brought this back, but why don't you fill them in if they haven't seen it?
I'll just say, go watch that episode, and if you still don't understand why I brought this back, maybe Magic's not the game for you. I'm sorry, but I just, you know. But no, it had probably the single most atrocious showing of any deck I've ever played, and definitely that we've had on the channel.
I think that's true. It was the worst showing of any deck I've ever seen.
It got to do nothing for so long, and then not only did I not keep a great hand, that's fine, that sucks, that puts you a little bit behind. By the few turns that I wasn't getting that white mana source, that was no longer the hand that I kept. That was just terrible, terrible luck. But it had the worst showing I've ever seen of a commander deck, and so I really wanted to bring it back because I was so excited to play it. because it just the commander's ability alone is super fun. And I played this after that episode before this, just in our games before, and it was super fun to play. So it got to do a whole lot of nothing, and I was super excited to play it. And I honestly think it went from 0 to 100. Like it polar opposites from that video to this video of how it performed. Honestly,
that's what I was gonna say. Like you, even though you didn't win this game, you redeemed yourself because
I was the first to die,
it went from the worst performing deck in Upkeep history to like less than an hour into the game. Which, by the way, our games are usually like 2 hours, sometimes longer, and in that time, you became arch enemy, and we were like, we kill Tommy now or he wins.
Yeah.
So that's a huge shift. So very impressive. A very cool deck too. I like
super
that deck.
cool. I like it a lot.
For me, the reason I brought Quasar back was I had like 3 realistic options. I could either rebuild my life swap deck, because I like that deck, but it's not mono black anymore. I changed it, so I would have to restruct it as mono black. That seemed like too much work. So then it came down to between Quasar and my Osgir the Reconstructor deck, and I just like playing Quasar more. I just think it's a little bit more of a fun deck. So that's why I ultimately decided to take it back. And it wasn't like, typically we say, choose a deck that really underperformed, bring it back. But honestly, I feel like I didn't really have any bad games this season. I feel like I didn't win every game or anything, but I feel like even the games I lost, I was like, that was fine. I got to do the thing. So it really just came down to, I just like this deck. I think it's a cool commander. And
I mean, yeah, because even when you played it, it did.
I did fine. Yeah, it was fine. This was a little ridiculous, but it was something. It was things happened. So when you decided that this was the deck you guys were bringing back, what steps did you take to improve your chances of winning? Did you do more gold fishing to get more used to the deck? Did you do upgrades? What got you ready for today? Upgrades.
Land tax is a big one that we didn't get to see. So that was a big one. Even a couple cards like Path to Exile wasn't in the deck, which, again, we didn't get to see. And actually, I think every card that I put in the deck, I didn't end up playing.
Word up.
So, doesn't matter. I think. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure because I switched out about roughly 15 cards. And that's a decent amount.
You didn't play any of them this game?
I don't think I did. I did put a couple more board wipes in the deck, but didn't get to see those. I had multiple chances where I could have done a board wipe, and I chose not to.
It worked out for you.
It worked out for me. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Preston, what did you make any changes to your deck?
As far as I remember, this deck is exactly 100% the same as last time.
Oh, interesting. Well,
I think I've maybe did a couple goldfish runs on it a couple times, or done a couple paper playthroughs on it by myself. But besides that, no, it should be almost or exactly the same as the last time I played it.
Oh, interesting. Well, cool. Tommy, I know that you made a couple changes. What was different?
So it was a pre-con from Lost Caverns of Ixalan. So it had a lot of the issues that most modern pre-con commanders have. Mana base is not great, so I upgraded that a little bit. The removal package for being in white and black, having some of the best removal colors, was not great, so I upgraded that. And then added a couple of extra win cons. But that was really it. As far as like individual cards, we can talk about that when we go through the actual individual cards. But yeah, it was mostly just kind of trimming some of the fat of there were some bigger vampires in there that helped it do what it wanted to do, but not really, and were too expensive to be as fast as it wanted to go, because this wants to go really fast. So it was a lot of just taking out some of those bigger vampires, replacing them with cheaper ones or some anthem effects to help get those smaller ones to be a little bit beefier, so they're not quite as fragile.
More mana efficient. Yeah, for me, Quasar is actually one of my favorite decks. So when I went to upgrade it, I kind of pulled all the bricks. I kind of went all in. So I upgraded the mana base quite a bit, which is ironic because I kind of got mana screwed early in the game. But then I also added a couple board wipes because I realized after I think I said this in the Endstep of the Uncommon Commander episode, which is when I played this earlier in the season, that the deck is very creature light. There's only maybe 11, 12 creatures in the deck. And for a deck like that, I should probably have more board wipes than I do. So I think originally I had 2 or 3, and I upped it quite a bit. I think there's like 5 or 6 now. So that was like one of the other main things. But other than that, it was just some little tweaking here and there. But the deck, performance-wise, I basically just added a couple board wipes, tweaked the mana base, and that's probably it. So even though we've seen these decks a few times now, we've seen each of these decks twice except for Slivers, we've seen 3 times now. But are there still maybe a couple cards that the people haven't seen that you wanted to highlight?
The main one for me, and this one, even if during the game, if combat damage didn't get through to Preston or even you, if you were still alive, you didn't kill yourself, I did have Extenuate in my hand. So I probably would have won just from that.
Probably.
Probably.
And then there are a couple other just really cool cards that say, like, when it enters the battlefield, destroy target creature, and then, like, you gain life equal to its...
Like Noxious Gear Hulk?
Yeah, like, I had that in my hand at, actually 2 different points, because we did
the wheel.
Yeah, because we did the wheel, and so I had it in there then, and then eventually I drew back into it again. And then Angel of Ruins, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Like, just, like, stuff that, like, it blows up stuff. It's mostly a land tax, like I said, that I put in. This is the only deck that I have with land tax currently.
And I guess you haven't made any changes, Preston, but yeah, are there maybe a couple cards you still wanted to highlight that...
I had Cycrift in my hand if I had managed to survive that turn, but besides that, no. I think the deck showed off a lot of what it wants to do, and people can look at the deck list and go from there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean to always mention this, and I rarely ever do, but if you ever do want to see our full deck list, we do have them in the descriptions of the episodes that we play them in. So, and then eventually we should get around to having like a Mox Field account or something where you can see all of our deck lists in one place. We haven't done that because we're irresponsible content creators, but it'll probably happen someday. But Tommy, you said you added some new win cons. Walk us through those.
Okay, so the first one I want to talk about, the only combo or infinite combo I have in the deck that is just very flavorful for vampires, the Blood Bond combo, Exquisite Blood and Sanguine Bond. And the main reason I have an interesting feeling about this combo because the precon came with Exquisite Blood, but not Sanguine Bond, not the combo piece. And the way I feel about this combo is you either run both of them or you run neither of them. Because this is such a well-known combo for so many people that if one hits the board, people assume you have the other one, and they're going to want to get rid of it.
Yeah, but I feel like I don't think a precon should come with an infinite combo though.
No, I'm not saying they made the wrong decision. I'm just saying since they had the one in here, I had to choose: do I want to get rid of the combo altogether, or do I run both combo? I'm saying if you're building a deck and you want to use this combo, just know that for a lot of people, they know both of these cards individually. So if one hits the board,
they assume the other one's going to
They assume you have the other one somewhere, and it's going to follow very shortly if you're already playing one. So they're going to try and remove it, and they're going to target you. So it's just be careful with that. That's how I feel about this combo.
No,
I still think it's
agree.
fun. I think it's very fun, and it's a very good combo. It just drains all the life totals at the board. As soon as get both of them out there and have one opponent's life total change at all in either direction, and it wins the game. So it's a fun combo, super flavorful for a vampire deck, obviously. But yeah, so I added Sanguine Bond because I'm like, I gotta have the combo. It's a fun one. The other couple I talked about, another one. So that was one of the win cons I added, was finishing that combo. And then the other win con I added was Liliana's Contract, which I actually got this card from you, so thank you, Morgan.
Yes.
It says when it enters the battlefield, draw 4 cards, lose 4 life. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 4 or more demons with different names, you win the game. Normally, that does not go in a non-demon tribal deck, basically. But because Clavilenio lets you just turn your creatures into demons when they attack, it can be useful. I'm not saying it's a very useful win con, but it is possible. In case your opponents are playing into they're seeing your strategy of you want your stuff to die so they get replaced with tokens. They're not playing into that. Okay, you just keep adding those demon counters onto it. All of a sudden, oh look, I have a bunch of demons that don't actually say demon on the card, and then have that come down and just it's not a great win con, but it's a fun one, and I think it works specifically for this deck because it sort of has that demon almost subtype. And then the last card is one in the precon, but I think it's super fun. Charismatic Conqueror. Says whenever an artifact or creature enters the battlefield untapped and under an opponent's control, they may tap that permanent. If they don't, you create a 1/1 white vampire creature token with lifelink.
God, the card's
So
insane.
it's insanely good. It's just such a good, like, it's just artifact creature hate for your opponents. So, especially if you got an opponent that loves to make a bunch of treasure tokens, a bunch of tokens in general, it's great because it slows them down without just blowing it up. So it really makes them think, okay, do I want, do I want to tap it or not? And then it just helps you, the player on this card, build a board state very quickly with a bunch of chump blockers and ones. So it's probably one of the best cards in the deck, and that's in the precons. That's a super fun one.
Right. Yeah, that card's insane. The only other really cool card I wanted to mention is Teferi's Puzzle Box. It's just insane. It's kind of like a constant wheel, but it's a little bit less of a feel bad because everyone's, they're not going down the cards per se. I don't have Narset or I don't have Narset in this deck, so I can't uber mess people up with that. But it's a goofy looking secret lair. And it's fun. It's repeatable value, especially if I have my commander out. So I like it. Does anyone have a favorite moment from the game?
Him swinging out with all those slivers. That was
when I died.
epic.
That was a fantastic moment because I was the arch enemy. I had the crazy board state, and then just because he had all those slivers with trample and you had to give his commander double strike. That was such a cool moment of just going from arch enemy to dead in a single combat step.
I also loved when Morgan killed himself. That was pretty fun.
Unintentionally was also funny.
If my Shieldred wheel, if that worked, that would have been the best moment of the game. That would have been freaking awesome.
Oh god!
But then Steven,
I'm sorry, I wanted to win.
In terms of bullets dodged, that's the biggest one right there. Was dodging that bullet.
100%.
So thank you for that, Steven. But
Children needed to leave.
But yes, accidentally killing myself with Peer into the Abyss and Alhemard's Archive. I did not think that line through, and we allow a couple takebacks per game. The reason I didn't take that back is because that was a huge line. I basically would have had to start the turnover almost. So there wasn't a realistic line to walk it back and it not be kind of crappy that I did that.
Yeah.
So it just happened. So unfortunate, but if I have to die, if I have to go out on my own terms, I do really like drawing cards. So if I have to die,
if you die with this many cards in your hand,
yeah, there are worse things to happen.
If you think about
I feel dumb, but it's okay.
If you think about it, it's the perfect way to lose a game with that deck. It wants to draw a bunch of cards.
Yeah, but not that many.
So that's the perfect. It's poetry. It draws so many cards. It draws so many cards that you die. It's great.
I guess
now, George Lucas.
I guess I should have mentioned this because I mentioned it in my deck intro. I have two specific cards. One other card I should have highlighted is I have Trouble in Pairs in this deck. This is the first deck that I've tried running that card in. That card's absolutely insane. I got to play it in a practice game. Way better than I thought. The combo I mentioned in my deck intro is if I have my commander out and then I have either Lich's Mastery or I think it's called Dragskull Reaver. Yeah, Dragskull Reaver. They go infinite with my commander. The problem is I have to, I'll kill myself too. If I have,
This deck seems like it's kind of bad.
if I have fewer cards in my deck than my opponents in total have in life. And if you remember the first time I played this, there's that Necrologia, which can just one-shot people if my life total is high enough. So there are ways to mitigate that. My opponents are going to be low enough that when I finally get to the 6 or 7 mana required to play Lich's Mastery or the Dragskull Reaver, there's a decent chance that I can actually just pull it off. And there are just instant speed ways that in my deck that if I have the mana for it, I can respond and try to end the loop. So if I really needed to. Guys, this was the Season 2 finale, and we are suspending the season structure. What did you guys think of the first 2 seasons, and is there anything you're looking forward to moving forward with the show?
I think it will bring a lot of stress off of us because, especially if we get caught behind schedule, having to film more than one episode in a night,
that was rough.
Really,
we did that once or twice.
It really drains you.
That was rough.
And so I'm looking forward to not being so pressured to get an episode out as often.
As the editor, I can agree.
And I bet you, yeah. So I think also with not doing seasons, we can really do some like weird, like you said, like weird themes for the episodes, and so I'm kind of looking forward to that. Yeah,
we will.
It's always fun whenever we get to put a new video out, see the new comments. So that's a little sad, but for the group, it's definitely much healthier in the long run to do it this way.
I think it's just a more sustainable model overall for the channel and for your sanity mostly as the editor, and for Jason's a little bit as the editor for Endstep.
So next week we are going to have a video where we're all five of us will talk about specific stats, prove that Jason is in fact the winner, and we'll talk about like win rates, length of games, the colors we played the most. We'll talk about what our favorite games were. So if that's interesting to you, come back for that video, and then we'll have a little bit more in-depth detail about what the future of the show looks like and what we're going to be doing for content to make up and still stay at 3 videos a week. Any final thoughts about this game or the season or anything like that?
This was one of my favorite games in the season. I'm not just saying that just because I won, but like
there were some weird things that happened.
There were so many weird, fun things that happened. Whereas like, and then like on that last turn there, I was like, I think I can win. Like I think I can do it. And thankfully you killed yourself. That made it a little bit easier. This is just a really good way to end the season, I feel like. So, especially the last time that we're kind of doing the season structure.
Yeah. And never say never. It's just that with all the editing I do for MTG Goldfish as my full-time job, I have a lot less time to actually edit Upkeep because Tommy, don't tell my previous boss, but I used to work with Tommy, and I would literally have a couple days where like literally nothing would happen, and so like I'd have my work computer here, and I would like periodically check it. I was like, okay, still nothing to do. All right, I guess I'm editing Upkeep. So it used to be a lot easier to get videos out every other week, but now it's like a couple days before a video comes out, I'm like, oh, that's not done, and I'll have to stay up super late to get it done on time. So yeah, going to the once a month structure, at least for a little bit, maybe things will change and we can bring seasons back because I like doing that. But in the short term, at least, it will be a lot easier on all of us, I think, but especially me. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for subscribing. If you're not subscribed, you should subscribe. And check out all of the other videos that we have. I don't know how many episodes we have in total. I don't know what episode number this is, like 36 maybe. We have a lot of episodes. Go check them all out. Any episodes you might have missed. We have done a lot of really cool themes, but even though we're going to once a month instead of one every other week, stay tuned, stay subscribed, keep coming back because, like I said, to make up for less games, we're going to do a lot weirder themes. So expect some fun stuff, and we will be still doing 3 videos a week. We'll just slightly change what we're doing. So thanks again. We will see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.